right. So today's event, and by the way, we also, besides serving wonderful organic, plant-based, non-GMO, whole food-based food for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, we also do different classes, workshops, lectures, cooking classes. By the way, we have 3 more events in September. They are posted everywhere, so in case you're interested. What else do we do? We offer nutritional consultations. Karim, Raimbekov, my husband and co-owner, co-founder of Purple Sprout, so he does nutritional consultations, and he helps people heal through food, herbs, breathing, massaging techniques, and things like that. Everything natural, everything holistic. And he sees patients with any ailments, anything from autism to arthritis and cancer and simple digestive issues, and everything in between. So very easy. All right. What else can I tell you? We also provide meal plans. When people sign up for a week or a whole month's worth of meals, and then they come pick them up. And what it does, it provides convenience, a lot of convenience for people, busy professionals who don't have time to cook for themselves, or who haven't learned yet how to cook, but they need assistance right now. So that's what we do in a nutshell. In the future, the plans are to have wholesaling business so that our wonderful products are at different grocery stores and a lot more Purple Sprout locations throughout the country, and hopefully globally as well. But so we have been in existence for 3 years, and we are very happy to have you here today. And now let's get right to the gist of it. Fruit, right? What is fruit? Perfect, wonderful, good job, guys. Okay, so I'm gonna read the definition to you. Definition of fruit: a sweet and fleshy product of a tree or other plant that contains seed and can be eaten as food. So, surprise, fruit can be eaten as food, right? So everybody has tasted fruit at one time or another throughout their lifetime, but there are not too many people who know or who realize that fruit can actually be a whole meal. It's not just a snack. And the way human beings are designed, we have these hands with fingers. We are designed in such a way to grab fruit and eat it. So you know how every species has food that are best for them specifically. So for us human beings, fruit is the best food. As a species. Of course, we have gone a long way, from our original design and the creator's original plan, but it's okay as long as we have fruit in our lives and we are able to gravitate as much as possible to the fruit. It's all good. Do you have any questions? No? Okay. Do you have any specific expectations as to what you would like to get out of this? No?
Just, I guess, more knowledge. You know me, I'm very complicated. Allergies, whatever, and I'm doing the fruit diet, 80-10-10. So I'm just running, but I don't know, I just need more knowledge. How to, with these dressings or whatever, the fruit dressings. I'm trying not to put sweet, sour, and olive oil.
Okay.
So just,
Okay.
trying to come up with some dressings.
Wonderful. Thank you, Shirley.
I think a lot of people have become so afraid to eat fruit because
While it is the best food for us as a species, why are there some people who are unable to enjoy fruit at this point in their lives? So he'll talk more about that. Okay, can you please name your favorite fruit?
Just pineapples.
Anybody else?
Banana.
Mango.
Watermelon.
Yes. Excellent. Mango. Okay, we don't have all of those fruit here, but I think we have a pretty nice sampling of the different local as well as exotic fruit. But we'll talk more about it in a little bit. Okay, so now Karim will talk more about what fruit is, why it's appropriate for some people and not others, and anything else he deems necessary. And by the way, who knew that cucumber is a fruit, avocado is a fruit, and pumpkin is a fruit? How about that?
Tomato.
Great. Yes.
Karim, could you also address, I've heard there's conflict in regards to tropical fruits, because we're northern climate people, that we should limit tropical fruits versus, say, apples.
Right. Well, yes, I can start right over. And thank you everybody for coming. Very nice to see you all gathered and to be willing to listen to what we have to say about this type of nutrition. Talk about fruit, and this is how Irina mentioned and she didn't do it next to nothing. But fruit is really the type of nutrition for human. One thing, and I'll start from the top probably. We are spiritual beings. A spiritual being calls for spiritual food. If we think of our spirituality, we're like spiritually, we're butterflies. We are above all the species on earth. And butterflies, what do they eat? They eat nectar, right? And nectar is the glucose in its pure form. Basically, this is what we need to eat. Another thing is that when medicine says that every group of nutrients will turn into sugar in the end to be actually assimilated and be utilized as energy, it will be turned into sugar. So even fats will have to break down to sugar in order to be utilized as energy. So why would we have to make our bodies suffer to go through certain process to break down fats into sugar through ketosis, whereas we can just, have the glucose available right there on the table and have the energy, fueling our body. But what happens, and I'll answer that question right away. And I'll probably answer the question with another question, why do we, living in the northern hemisphere, why do we live in the heated apartments and houses? Why are we comfortable in the temperature of 18 centigrades or 75 Fahrenheit? Why do we put on the clothes to go outside in winter? What does this mean? That means that this climate is not natural for human species, is it? Probably not, right? So why aren't we furry? Why don't we have a lot of hair or like the fur covering our body, like the deer have or the bears? We don't. That means that we are not designed to live in winter. And this is how we are designed, not to live in winter, but we take the certain measures or certain adaptation techniques in order to be comfortable in these conditions. So when we talk about the nutrition that we choose, and that's basically very scarce. So fruit up here in the northern hemisphere, well, there's some fruit, of course. Our ancestors at a certain point, they adapted eating different style of foods. All right, and eating different style of foods actually came with the consequence of sacrificing the longevity. And the more they were adapting different types of nutrition, which is not really typical for us, because one thing is that we have a very hard time digesting anything else other than fruit, let's say, and turning that into glucose in our circulation, in our digestion process, just because, let's think like grains. Grains are very hard to digest. They cause the certain, symptomology bloatings and digestive discomfort while they're being broken down. We're talking about starches. Another thing is that legumes and grains, they are naturally poisonous because of the amount of lectins and other like natural preservatives that are found in the grain starch that is actually naturally preserving that grain to sprout. Another thing, we don't have the adaptability techniques in order to break down the grain, other than first we need to cook it. If we cook it, then we can digest it somehow. When we actually break down the starch into the sugar, then our body can actually have the access to it. Like birds eat grains, right? Let's say, how do they eat that? They actually have the specific organ in the throat where they keep that seed for until it sprouts. So, and they actually not eating the seed in the conservational state where it is just the seed that's not sprouted yet, but they're actually keeping that in that organ for, it is called that organ, I don't remember the name in English though, but it's like in their throat, like a throat bag, where the seed is sprouting before they actually start working on it, digesting. Another thing is that why the greens or vegetables. Yes, vegetables are very supplemental, but the amount of cellulose that the vegetables have is not designed for our digestive system to actually break down and live upon it. Another thing is that the amount of cellulose that the vegetables contain, they're actually good to cleanse the intestines. So in other words, vegetables are cleansers, and fruit are the nutrient. It is the nourishing part. It's actually something that fills you. Now, how does it happen? We need to live in two modes. This is our, like, this is the regimen for the human life, or any creature life, where we are nourishing in one period of time and we're cleansing in another. The physiology of nourishing is it is one, basically it's one regimen, right? Another regimen when we're cleansing it, and that has a different physiology. The processes are happening differently. The processes are not really described in or well articulated in the medicine, to everybody, the way that the cleansing is going is very individual. So we need to consider understanding that the cleanse is very necessary in order to be on the correct nutrition, because ultimately the fruit is the highest nutrition. In order that to be effective and be truly nourishing for all the tissues of the body, we need to go through certain time of cleanse. We need to understand this is very important, because what happens is that while eating unnatural food for our body, we accumulate certain toxins, or rather say substance, which consists of mucus and consists of like fats, basically. Fats and mucus together, while we are consuming those, will penetrate in our tissues through the digestive tract. Not like really mentioning what that would do actually inside the digestive tract, but like skipping that step, go into how that works in the tissue. Once accumulating in one tissue, it becomes thicker. It becomes thicker and penetrates another tissue. And there in that other tissue, it's becoming thicker. It accumulates. It overwhelms all the cells of that tissue and becomes thicker as it penetrates to the next tissue, as the tissue formation goes gradually, step by step, layer by layer. So that mucus that is actually carrying certain toxins that are dissolved in that already will be penetrating to the next layer of tissue and leaving the cells of that tissue overwhelmed with the fats and mucus. All right, and thus it will be actually blocking the way for the insulin receptors to be able to absorb the sugar naturally, right? I mean, easily, rather say. So as it goes and penetrates the higher tissues, it becomes thicker and thicker every time, and becomes basically like the glue-like substance once it penetrates to the higher tissue, to the highest tissue, and like the highest, let's say, hormonal system. If that is already overwhelmed by the toxins, will look like the sponge that has been dipped in the glue and let dry. So it would be like type of like rock-looking hard instead of being spongy kind of organ. All right, that will actually be losing its function, and that's why we're seeing so many hormonal issues and hormonal replacement therapies that are necessary for people in order to keep up with their homeostasis. Okay, so this is what happens, and now when people go to the right nutrition, where they consider fruit, right, and this is actually what happens is that this is how doctors say fruit is bad because there's sugar. Now, how do we understand sugar? What is sugar? Sugar sugar comes in different types, right? And sugar, the white sugar that we see on the table is not the kind of sugar that is in a fruit, right? I mean, it's like obvious. That sugar is the product of chemical reactions, number of chemical reactions. It's very imbalanced. It's very unnaturally produced substance that's not even anywhere near close to the natural composition of the fruit sugar, which is the glucose. The natural sugar occurring in the fruit is a glucose or fructose that are very free to get metabolized inside the body, whereas sugar will actually produce a very complicated process inside while being metabolized, and will mask the it will actually cause the artificial secretion of insulin that will not be adequate for whatever amount of the concentrated energy that may actually have. So there will be a surplus of, in other words, it will be a surplus of insulin, whereas there's no true content to be metabolized, and the insulin will actually cause the certain other further issues, and that what does the not just the sugar, but like the white flour and certain refined grains and things like that. They will that insulin, which is the free insulin, which is not binding to any glucose inside the blood circulation, will cause the high blood pressure, will cause the dehydration, and in the end will stimulate the appetite for more food. Basically, this is how what we see is that people, when they eat, like 2 hours later, they want to eat again. And what happens? It's like really hard to explain, but that's what it explains. Now, when I was talking about the cleanse is very important in order to start eating fruit, and in order to have the fruit be the real nutrition for you. Because what happens is that, as I was talking about tissue cells being overwhelmed with that mucus and fats, and as you're cleansing into your tissue, one tissue after another, you're freeing that tissue of this sludge and all these toxins that are surrounding the cells, freeing up the space, cleansing into the interstitial space in order for the insulin to be free to enter in this interstitial space and bring the nutrition to the cell. So there is like a clear communication between these two factors. Another is that fruit, especially the raw food, and then now if we're talking about like the cooked food and the raw food, and usually we understand the fruit that when we imagine fruit, we imagine it eating it raw. We are not cooking it, right? In very rare occasions we would cook like apple pie, right? But that's a different story. But when we think about fruit, we're thinking eating it raw. So now what happens? Well, before I start that, let me finish the cleansing part. So when we're cleansing the tissue and opening up the channels, the pathways for the glucose to enter freely into the tissue and nourish the tissue, as that happens, the other tissues that are higher than that tissue that's already cleansed will still have some block and will not be nourished by that glucose that's trying to enter it, because it's still being in the form of it's being just overwhelmed with the toxins. So what will happen is that the sugar will not, the blood sugar, the glucose will not penetrate into the deeper tissue, but will have to accumulate inside the circulation, causing the high blood sugar, the sugar spikes. What happens is that it is not specifically the glucose or the fruit that is responsible for that, right? But it's we are responsible, because if we're making poor combination of fruit, doing the fruit along with the fats is actually very dangerous when we're mixing fat and the fruit together, even in one day. Even if we're eating fruit and certain fats in one day, we're making fruit to be useless. We're not really getting the benefits of fruit. But what happens is that inside the bloodstream, the fat will prevent from the sugar from being absorbed by the cells. So, but once we're cleansing, and we've cleansed one layer of tissue, and then introduced the glucose to that tissue that can now freely nourish on that glucose, the next layer of tissues will actually have to be cleansed as well. So in order for us to sustain our life fully on fruit, we need to undergo the complete cleanse. And this is what's not being discussed, where when people say the fruit is not good, for people the fruit is not sustainable. It's not the fruit that's not sustainable, it is actually like people like unwillingness, incapability of cleanse and go through this process, introducing the real nutrition to all the layers of tissue. So another point that I was getting close to, and here, many people may not really understand that right away, but I'm going to talk from the Ayurvedic perspective now. So I was trying to talk about like this whole topic from the more from the Western point of view. Omitting all the biochemistry and like little reactions that are happening, with the production of like other, acids inside the body, but just in general. So, but now I want to talk about, how it happens Ayurvedically on the energetic level. All right. So in Ayurveda we have one very important energy. That is the energy of fire. All right, we have the energy of fire, but that energy is not as simple to understand as just like energy that oversees the metabolic process. I will actually elaborate on it a little bit. What happens within the energy of fire is that, and as we know, while looking at the fire, we see different stages of fire, or different layers of fire, right? Like right in the middle of fire, we see the light. It's not the flame yet, but there's a light. There's the white light. If you were to look not at the fire, but at the candle, let's say. You're looking at the candle, at the point of the candle, you see the white light first, and then it transcends, it transforms, it radiates into a different specters, in different colors. So what happens is that, like in the center of the flame, the energy, that what we're calling the light, is the very potent, very densely packed with the life energy. That life energy actually comes from the, and many of you may actually know about prana. Prana is the breathing, right? When is the energy of life, energy that supports life. So when prana actually bears the light, it is the next energy that is called chi. Right now? Yeah.
Is that good?
I guess, yes. So
All
we'll
right.
continue in 5 minutes,
Rana
right?
and Chi, this is a
Very
very
good.
opportune moment to do some Danjan tapping. And we have Master Deanna here with Body and Brain Yoga, located in Northbrook. They have many locations, but she comes from Northbrook. And Body and Brain Yoga was instrumental in helping me open up my energy channels so we could open this place. So she's gonna do some magic right now.
All right, yes, and you will actually, shake us up a little bit and get
Yes,
us
get the
tension
blood and
going.
oxygen and energy going.
Right.
All right, so
Wonderful.
take it away, please.
Okay, welcome. Can you stand up, please? So, as he was mentioning, the fire energy, the heat in our body is very important for the nutrients and for detoxing and cleansing. So, we're gonna start activating a little bit. It's called abdominal tapping. So, first, we're gonna open up our breath. So, can you tap your chest? Tap your chest and open your mouth and say, ha. Let's breathe in through our nose and say, ha. Good, and you can do it again. Ha. And do 5 more. Ha. And it helps when you smile. How many? 2 more? And take 1 more long one. Okay, now we're going to tap what is called solar plexus, which is your upper abdomen. Tap here in our upper abdomen. A lot of organs intersect right here. So we're going to help it relax. So when you do this, you have to relax your abdomen. So no tension. Okay? So let's breathe again. With a smile. Okay, you can tap right on the bottom of your rib cage. Yes, right on the bottom. Okay, take another breath. And then tap your belly button right in the middle. Then tap your belly button and keep relaxing your abdomen. Now, a lot of times we tend to tighten our abdomen, we don't even realize it. So to help our digestion, help our cleansing process naturally, let's relax and breathe. And if you feel some jiggles, if you have a belly, that's okay. This is good for that. Okay, and tap your lower abdomen, below your belly button. Right there, below the belly button and all of your intestines. And breathe gently. Very good. Gotta wake up our abdomen. Yeah. Okay, now from the bottom, you can go to your right side. Your right side. From your bottom, from the lower abdomen, go to your right hip. Yes, your right hip. My right hip, your right hip. Okay, and we're gonna do clockwise. To help our intestinal flow naturally, we'll follow the direction. So from your right hip, go up to your right wrist cage. Yes, and lean on your side.
You don't have to hit that.
Lean on your left side. Yes. So keep tapping your right side, but lean on the left. I will mirror you, okay? Okay, now from your right rib cage, go to your left rib cage.
Yeah.
All right, well, I'm ready to continue. All right, so here where we were talking about the metabolic process from the Ayurvedic perspective, right? So, and that metabolic process in Ayurveda are overseen by, sure. Metabolic processes in Ayurveda are overseen by the energy called Pitta, which is the fire. Fire is transformational. It's actually responsible for metabolism, digestion, for the sensory perceptions, and for decoding and transforming one substance into another, or one energy into another. So the fire is actually, the fire energy is built on a column, and that column is radiating from light to flame, from light to flame. This is a very important moment that we need to consider, and that radiance from light to flame is called tejas. Tejas, okay? So that is based upon the chi energy. The chi energy. You may have heard about chi energy, right? Qi Gong, Tai Chi. We all know about chi, and that is the energy of light. It's the flame in its birth, at its birth. When we talk about the Big Bang theory, we know that the universe was like fraction, right? First, it was a fraction, and it was 300,000 years later from when that fraction opened that the light was born, right? So what preceded that? What preceded that moment? The energy called prana. Prana is the energy of the air, or the wind, of the energy of movement that actually gives life. But that's not about prana now. Also it is somehow. Why it is about prana, I can tell you. Let's talk about food in its raw form and its cooked form. What makes difference? Why do we hear that raw Buddhists actually have better chances for health than the people who eat cooked food? Because whatever is raw is actually dwells or exists on the energy called prana, which is that initial energy of wind, of movement. That is when all the nutrients, or all the parts, the particles inside the substance, the food, is actually very active, and it's moving and it's living, it's alive, and that's what gives the life. Now when we're cooking food, we are actually taking that energy away. We're reducing it. We're reducing it, sometimes we're significantly reducing it. So, and once that energy is reduced, it cannot bind to the certain higher level of enzymic production inside our body, all right? And what happens, I will tell later. So, also along with that prana, we are reducing the energy of chi. The chi energy is basically the electric waves that are going through the body, through anything that is living, sustaining its functionality, all right? So the chi energy is also very important, and that's why we're doing the qigong, in order to accumulate and to increase the amount of chi inside our body, to actually have the impulses of the nervous system, to have the communication between the even on the cellular level to go on better, where cells actually understand each other as the something that is really native and actually and very close, not like understanding the cell, which is the neighboring cell, as a alien substance, or something that is not really clear what it is. What happens is when the interstitial spaces are filled with toxins, and this is the basic for autoimmune disorders, is when a cell does not see the next cell as its own, but understands that through the glass of toxins as an alien substance, and due to that it becomes hostile to its neighbor, and the autoimmune reaction happen. So the chi energy helps clearing that fog through the tissue. And what happens is that when we have the chi energy inside the food that we are actually consuming, that binds to certain phytoenzymes inside of our, like saliva and inside of our stomach juices and the intestinal tract. Decoding it quickly and making it easily digestible and quickly digestible. So that's basically what happens. That's why cleansing is very important. The deeper we cleanse in our body, inside the tissues, the better we have the chances of that energy penetrating through the tissue, sustaining it, giving it all necessary elements that it needs to in order to function correctly. So what happens with the lower flame now when we cook or we eat something that's already deprived of the pranic content and the chi content, because prana will actually support the chi, and once there is no prana, there is no chi. The substance actually turns into organic matter, which is not living anymore, right? And it's just like organic matter that your body needs to deal with and needs to somehow process. Now, at this point in time, the part of the digestive system which is functioning on the lower frequency energy of that energy system will be digested or metabolized on, and that would be basically the hot flame. So, and the hot flame is represented inside of our digestive tract by the hydrochloric acid, and by the acids and other stomach juices that are introduced, and by the bile that are introduced when the food does not have the higher the phyto the component for the higher digestion, which is actually instilled in the vibrations, the pranic vibrations. So what happens is when we look at it, the lower flame that burns at a lower frequency, that is actually pretty hot, will be producing lots of toxins. It will, just imagine the fire burning, and what we see is production of it's cindering. It's basically cindering, producing the tar, producing the elements of the burning reactions that are basically toxic to the body, that leave a lot of undigested matter and may penetrate already mixed with the mucus inside the system, thus basically polluting the entire system. Whereas when we talk about the fruit and the raw food, that will not have to burn through the lower part of the digestive system, and will be absorbed, will be metabolized on a very higher level, leaving practically no toxins behind. But now, once we've extracted that energy from the raw food, your body will have to be able to utilize this for the functioning of the and supporting of the entire body, and that will be distinguished, or that will be defined, so to say, by how pure the tissues are in order to process that energy. All right, and that's why I'm stressing great importance on that. Before going on the nutrition like this, it is very important to go on the cleanse, understand what cleanse is, understand how significant it is in order for us to be healthy, in overall longevity, in overall feeling good, because that's, if we don't do the cleanse, the nature will do the cleanse for us. It will make us sick at a certain point of time, and once the person is sick, they're not sick because it's the microbes or something, all of a sudden happened, virus, but exactly because they've already accumulated enough or like a large amount of toxins, within their tissues that the body is trying to get rid of in order to go on, in order to process the energy. And while having done so, it turns on the mechanism of cleansing, and the person feels sick at that time. So any cold, any type of disease actually is the process of the body trying to cleanse. All right, questions?
So when you say cleanse, do you mean just eating fruit?
No.
Vegetables.
No, when I was saying the fruit nourishes in the most, mostly they're nourishes, but they're cleansing fruit. In fact, fruit is very unique. There are fruits that are cleansing and can be used for cleansing only, like lemon, or pineapple. They're cleansing fruit. But there are fruits that are nourishing, that are starch-based. They have enough, they have sufficient amount of fats. They have a sufficient amount of proteins, or not proteins, rather say amino acids, that the body can actually, extract and utilize. So fruit is very unique. It's the whole realm of fruit is sufficient for the human to live in both regimens, in nurturing regimen and in the cleansing regimen. But cleansing regimen for the modern day human is very important in order to understand what the fruit really is, and in order to eat fruit and live on fruit, because that's the first line of metabolism that nature gave us, is to eat fruit. Because only when your body is clean and you're eating fruit, only then you can reach the longevity you all maybe wish for. But in any other way, any other metabolism, then we can, and of course, nature is very wise and gave us another metabolism type, which actually provides us with the necessary tool to live off the starches, to live off the roots, to live off the animals even, right? We can live off meat too, but we are jeopardizing our health, we're jeopardizing our longevity, we're jeopardizing our spirituality. So all those aspects are jeopardized. But we will still be able to live a certain time, but the quality of life will be poor, the longevity will not probably happen to what we imagine it to be. Yes?
So when you say cleanse, then you're saying eat some cleansing fruits along with all these other foods?
Cleansing has its own regimen. Cleansing is it's an art. It's an art that needs to be provided to an individual by somebody who knows how to do it. Because cleansing has the stages. It is the preparation stage, is the cleanse itself. There can be deeper cleanses. First we need to be able to be very artful in order to cleanse the higher tissues. I mean the first tissues, the introductory tissues. First we need to cleanse the digestive tract, and then we need to go deeper and cleanse the blood. All right. Then we need to go deeper and cleanse the muscle tissue, and so on. We need to also pay attention to which system and organs are jeopardized. And then once we've done the pre-cleanse, let's say, then we can do other techniques where we know how we extract the toxins out of the tissues and how we're providing the pathway for those toxins out of the body, while liquefying them, while emulsifying them, because there's different types of toxins that are accumulating. We understanding which system and organs are playing the role in getting the toxins out, in eliminating in the elimination process, and we're supporting that process by supporting those elimination pathways. So it is an art, and then how we ending the cleanses also, and then another very important aspect is how do we nourish the tissue that has just been cleansed? How do we introduce the proper nutrition? What type of nutrition is proper at that time? And that is a phytonutrition. They need the elements that are entering the clean tissue, and the clean tissue is very gentle and tender. It's like an open wound. You cannot throw anything into it, because then the harm can follow. So we need to really understand what needs to be introduced after the cleanse in order to start building the tissue right. And then once we've cleansed and nourished one tissue, we need to open up the pathway in the next cleanse for the next tissue to cleanse. So this cleansing process is not just one-time process. Whatever's being marketed right now, most of those cleanses are just one-time cleanse for digestive tract, which is where it all starts. Yes, digestive tract needs to be cleansed first, you know, but as to go into deeper tissues and knowing how to cleanse that further in order to really truly switch to the right kind of nutrition, to turn on the right kind of metabolic processes, to start, you know, this transformation, that really requires, you know, further steps, and that can be, you know, long process, and that will be in increments, going in increments.
So you don't have to clean the colon first, or the digestive come before the colon? You know how they always say clean
well,
the colon first?
digestive tract includes the colon, yes.
Oh, okay.
In fact, you know, colon will probably be something number one to clean, to cleanse. Yes, you cleanse the colon. Yeah, right. But there are different techniques of doing that, and anything needs to start on a very gentle level. Very gently, you know, we're cleansing one after another. We're doing the colon, then we do the small intestine, we do the stomach, and you know, and then we go deeper, we cleanse the liver, and then we go into the pancreas, and so on.
One more question. What do you do when you're reacting to detox? I mean, like really, really bad. You gotta still work.
The reaction to detox is
vitamins,
the detox
supplements,
itself.
everything.
The reaction to detox means if you're starting detox and you're reacting right away, that means that the toxins are filled up the entire system, because like while detoxing, you will, there is no way around it, go into the detox mode, into extracting the toxins out of the tissues that will start bothering you, or start, you know, like inducing those conditions, those states that you were in when you were actually getting those toxins in your system. So if you're reacting to detox, then your detox needs to be thought over and be even more gentle, and being introduced with not maybe even the food, but certain subtle routines, like with a certain exercise first before going into changing the food itself, and so on. Because the layers of toxins are really high, very tightly packed, and they're already floating on the surface. You know, and while your body is extracting toxins out of tissues and pulling them inside the circulation, this is when you know, the induction of the symptomology can start, and that's when it can happen. And you may feel like you're in detox, but you're feeling sick, and that's actually normal. But the degree of how sick you may feel on detox will depend on how gently you're starting the detox. We need to start gently and then go more and more, you know, introducing more routines and means of detox in order to penetrate deeper and get, you know, like the deepest toxins from the deeper tissues out, little by little. Yes, Joe?
You offer a cleanse protocol.
Yes, we have cleanse protocol. I offer that, worked out individually for you know, every client of mine. When they come to consultation, you know, I do the evaluation, and then we start working off of that for everybody individually. Yes, you had a question.
Are you, what is your thought about eliminating fruit while you're cleansing? Do you think it's value in eliminating the fruit until you are cleansed and reintroducing it?
Yes. Great question. And as you know, going back to when I said the fruit is mostly nourishing, that means we're not nourishing when we're cleansing. We need to exclude everything that is nourishing and introduce as many cleansing techniques as possible. And as I said, there is some fruit that is also cleansing, right? Like lemon, citrus, lime, pineapple. There are like really few fruit that does that, you know. But that's what we do. We stop the fruit. We introduce more like for the greens and, you know, like scanty scanty nutrition, basically. Different techniques, so like the technique of extended chewing technique, you know, where you have to chew for a whole minute before you swallow your food. And then, you know, intermittent fasting initially, and then the laxation, purgation, you know, then, you know, if we go into the Ayurveda, and we do certain routines, certain cleansing routines, ovulation, and then panchakarma, and those, you know, cleansing techniques with the following rejuvenation, and rejuvenation is the first step into nourishing after the cleanse, and that can be some fruit. It will be like fruit juices initially, and then certain like you know, maybe seaweeds and things like that in order to nourish correctly, and then, you know, going back to the type of nutrition that you kind of desire maybe, but you know, it really will depend to how deeply you've cleansed and what results we see, in order to see what your really what your drive to the type of food is. What type of food you will choose after the cleanse will tell me, you know, how deeply we've cleansed. And we next cleanse we will count upon that. So, yeah. Another question that you had about the controversy between the, you know, like sugar. Did I explain that, or do you still have that question standing?
No, kind of, you know, I just there's so many people who are avoiding bananas and avoiding any kind of fruit, and instead of eating the fruit, they're replacing it with whatever they are, I don't know, energy bars and nuts and high fat and whatever. And I'm just wondering, like, if somebody is, I mean, let's just assume somebody is in a disease state, maybe they're autoimmune, maybe they're diabetic, maybe they have metabolic syndrome, you know, just things on. Would you suggest that they stay away from the fruit? Is it damaging? Is it more damaging?
Yes, good. All right, let's talk a little more on this. What I can say is that, like, if you've noticed that some people, after having eaten like a nourishing lunch, dinner, they still want like the fruit snack or some dessert. Why is the dessert in the end, right? Because one thing is that the proteins and fats, they are not metabolized quickly. They will stay in the system for a long time. They will start fermenting process, which is malignant in its nature. It will be like fats will get oxidized and rancid, but the body has not received the energy necessary. That's why it's craving for simple sugar, right? For simple glucose. And this is why the person goes and eats like dessert, right, after meal, which is like, you know, fully wrong. What happens is that if we were to talk about the keto diet, right? I mean, I will probably not talk about keto diet because it's going to take an hour to but touching upon that. What happens is that the keto diet, you know, it's like basically hexing the body. It's like depriving the body of the nutrients, causing the cleansing effect initially. This is what it does. It's basically same as cleansing, because the body is reluctant metabolizing fats while it already stored fats inside. So the body will go into ketosis. It will utilize all the carbs inside of itself. Like it will utilize all the glucose. It will utilize all the glucose that's formed in the form of glycogen inside the liver and inside the muscle. It will pull all the carbs out of the tissues, and after having metabolized that, it will go into the ketosis, and that will be breaking down fats in order to extract the energy. It will be doing that at a very, very acidic, regimen. Okay, that's why it's danger to go through ketosis, because someone may just go into like crisis, ketoacidosis. Yeah, that is very dangerous. Another thing is that that type of nutrition, if the person continues on with it will start damaging the organs. That's why if you were to look, and see how many people have used the keto diet for a long time, there will be probably nobody who was able to sustain that keto diet for more than 4 or 5 years maybe, and then they end up with like having different issues, health issues, and those issues sometimes may be irreversible because fats really damage tissue, and it's really, really poor. But initially it works as the cleansing mode, but the cleansing mode can actually be thought differently without damaging effect of eating fat. We can cut down on the most of the foods and just go into the intermittent fasting. That would be the cleansing effect, more beneficial and safe and the right way, to cleanse. So that's what we have. So all right, any more questions? Any more questions? Fruit.
Oh, do cool the body? Like when I'm eating my fruit, I get cold.
Oh yes, that's right.
So it's cool.
Well, yeah, when I was mentioning about the energies from the light, from the chi to the fire, to the flame, is that the chi is cold in potency. In fact, the light is cold in the
chi.
energy. Yeah.
Fruit is cheap.
There is a lot of, prana chi, yes, that's what it is. And that's why it's metabolized really quickly. But yes, the sensation of cold is there because prana, the wind energy is cold. The chi is cold, as we know that the higher stars, the white giants, they are cold. And then the lower stars, like the red dwarfs, they're very hot, right? So this is how the flame is. Flame is very hot, where it's orange or red, right? But it's like not so hot or basically cold, compared to the cold, yes, right in the center. And where there's like blue light or the white light, it's cold. And this is what it is, Yeah, the more potent and more living and more vibrant energy is cold in potency, and this is what we actually get. Another thing is that while you're cleansing, the toxins are basically, they are not, it's like a dead matter, and dead matter is also cold, like stone. Stones are cold, right? And slime mucus is cold in nature, and while that being extracted inside the circulation, it also may have the person feeling chills. Yes.
So what can you do in the wintertime? Fall is coming, the wintertime, you eat a fruit diet with coldness. Just being more cold. Until the body adjusts, I guess.
Before you can sustain the fruit diet through winter, you really need to cleanse well, right? Otherwise that will not, happen easily. Yes.
By the way, we have 2 more speakers here that will be able to answer that question because they have experienced it firsthand.
Thank you.
Yes. Some, to my friends.
Okay, perfect. Alex, please.
They know what they're talking about because they have experienced that for a significant amount of time.
Okay, so our family, we have transitioned from standard way of eating to macrobiotics to whole foods, plant-based, yes, then to raw, vegan, and then to mostly fruitarian. So we're about 95% whole family, including the kids. We're about 95% raw now. With 85% of what we eat being fruit. So if you have any questions after our speakers are done about how to transition to healthy way of eating and living as a family, please let me know. Otherwise, I'm going to pass the torch to Alex. He has over a decade of experience being raw, fruitarian, practicing and teaching yoga and meditation, and today he will cover he will tell his story of healing, and also he will talk about karma-free foods.
So, after all this theoretical thing, I want to speak about practical, and maybe it's a good thing to have a conversation. So if you have questions along with my talks, just feel free to ask, because you can everything you can find in internet. So I don't want to to repeat it to repeat all things that in internet and repeat myself from talks to talks. So I start with food karma, and just when you have a question, just interrupt me. Don't afraid to do this, and just asking your question what you want to know. That I think more beneficial than just a theoretical thing, and the value of all is how you can apply to yourself this diet. How many raw here? 75%. So the main thing, how you apply to your life, because all this theoretical thing we can speak one after another with all beneficial things, but if it's only on the paper, no use. So I want you be more with the practical thing, to apply all knowledge that already gathering in this matter. Because it's proven, it's already well understood that you can live on plant-based food, you can live on fruits, you can live on meat, you can live on wherever you want. It's all about your mind and all about your goals in your life. So let's apply the fruit diet in your life. And I would like to start with karma of the food. Everyone knows what is karma, right? More or less. Yeah. So the karma, our karma, is the karma that we gain from life to life, or if you don't believe in life to life, from beginning of the life, and it's the effect of what we did before. That's about the karma. So cause and effect. What we did in the past, we got today. So everything we got because of our past deeds, past experience, good or bad. How to improve our karma? There are a lot of techniques how to improve. You can do yoga, you can do pranayama, you can do meditations, but you can actually do to improving your karma through the food. It's the easiest way to improve or decrease karma. Whatever you want to achieve. More happier life, more easy life with a good karma, or more heavy life. Then you have the diagram here, and you can choose what you want. And yeah, and please ask questions if you can. So in the first and very highest position in the food karma, we have mother's breast milk, which is the most divine substance we can get, and in our first years of our life, this is what gets us very positive karma. Especially if mother on the fruit diet, it's double positive karma. Then fatty fruits, which is mean, you know fatty fruits, it's avocado, it's durian, it's mamey, it's like they contain fat. It's not like a lot of fat, but in the case of fruits, it's fatty fruits. So the fruit itself is on the second and third, sweet fruit after this, which is Karim already mentioned. Then glucose is the essential thing in our body to get glucose, because glucose is very easy to absorb through our body and getting the quick energy. If you know these athletes and many sportsmen, they eating before the training, because we cannot eat before the training like a lot of fruits. We cannot train ourselves if stomach is full, right? So to get the energy, we eat something like dates. So if you eat dates, it's a low amount of volume, but it's high of glucose. So you have a lot of energy. 2-3 dates, and boom, the energy like for 2 hours. And if you do hiking, it's also very, very popular through hikers, people who do like different adventures. So in their backpack, instead of carrying a lot of like weight of watermelons, 2 watermelons, 3 watermelons, they carry like these dates, right? And or figs, and that they can sustain on this very, very energetically and very effectively for a long time. So that's about sweet fruit. So the sweet fruit gives you the quick energy. The fatty fruit gives you what? Gives you proteins, which is the proteins inside the food should be like no more than 10% according to all other food. 10% protein, 10% fat, all other should be sugar. So fatty fruit gives you like, if you lack of protein, if you lack of fat in your body, you can eat fatty fruit. But basically better to eat more sweet fruits all over the day. So the balance 80-10-10 should be preserved. And so why the fruits is so high in karma? Why? What do you think? Do you have any idea? You have. All others.
Because it's a product which is natural, taken from our nature actually. It's like.
What about nuts?
Nuts?
Yes.
Nuts is good as well.
What about greens? Sprouts?
The same thing.
No, it's not the same thing if you see on this.
I don't know.
So what the reason? Okay. Since this is a karma. The karma means it's ahimsa or non-violence. If you do as much as possible no-violence things in your life, your karma getting higher and higher, right? The violence to other living creatures, humans or microbes or birds or animals, doesn't matter. If you do good actions, you have good karma after this. If you do bad things for the living creatures, you get a bad karma. This one is living creatures. Right? What happens if you eat this?
You kill.
Right? What about nuts? What is this?
Like nuts, you can grow from it.
Right, it's embryo.
Yeah.
So you kill embryo again. What about lettuce? So if you there is a difference if you see on this list. If you get the greens picked by the leaf, right? Then you don't kill a whole plant. I have now growing my lettuce in my garden, so lettuce like that already.
Like a tree.
Like a tree. So, but if you go to store, you see like small lettuce and cut with the roots. So they kill a plant and they could take a whole plant. So if you wait until lettuce is growing and then picking leaf by leaf and keep nourishing the lettuce and keep the lettuce growing and just be happy that some living creature living near you, then the karma will be good, more or less good. So not so good like for fruits, because what's the difference between lettuce and apple?
The tree is still alive.
Right.
Picking one apple.
Yeah. And lettuce, the leaves, when you take out the leaf, I think it's sort of pain there, right? like if you take out your one hair, it's like not so comfortable. Yeah?
When the fruit is falling, it's already kind of dying, and the seed you don't eat, and you can
Right.
plant, but you can eat the fruit.
Right, correct. Yeah. So the tree gives you the fruit. The fruit is like a result of its labor, of its life, of its. It is a gift to you. And among monks in Buddhist community, if you do like the higher level of meditation in retreat, so no people in cave, they are not allowed even to make a fire. They are not allowed even to take a fruit from the tree. They have to wait until fruit is whole. Because this is only absolutely non-violent thing. When the fruit is falling down, it means the tree already gives it to you. But to increase even karma of that thing, what we need to do with this fruit? So we got the fruit, let's say apple, we got the seeds in the fruit. Right. To make, to complete the cycle, we need to plant the seeds. So if you plant the seeds, you give a service to the tree, and tree spread out through the earth. So this is the only thing when the cycle is over, and you get a very high karma of eating apple. And of course you have, if you do like that, we have a lot of fruits now around us. So it would be the heaven on the earth. Can you imagine all these things can grow around and everyone can enjoy it in every moment. And after enjoying, just plant what left. So that's why the fruit karma is the highest karma. No any even subtle violence in the fruit. No death. Everyone wants to live a long life, right? Who don't want to live long? But how we can live a long life if we consuming death with everything? Not so bad, right? Everyone knows much more worse things. But still, in all these things, a little bit death you consume. How you can live a long life after this? Accumulating the negative energy in your body. The body getting older and older and older. So this is a process when you think, you should think. If you want your body be more in long way around, then you should be very aware of what you're eating. You're eating fruits, you're eating a little bit greens, you're eating greens without violence, or you're eating greens with violence. That's about the longevity and the health. So the health is derived from the same thing. If you're eating positive energy, you're getting health. You're getting physical health, you're getting mental health, and you're getting the happiness. If you're eating negative things, your happiness never happens. Because you're full of negative energy inside. It doesn't matter you do like a lot of trainings, a lot of meditation, a lot of yoga. It doesn't matter. If you have inside, after yoga, you eat like fish, or you eat like other things, yeah, eggs, what purpose of this yoga? Yoga is a vehicle. It can drive you to the goal very quickly. But what the goal is your choice. If your goal is go down, yoga keeps you going down very quickly. And you achieve like this boom in hell. In the same way, if you drive in your car in the good way, the yoga helps you to achieve very, very high immortal states. If you heard about this yogis in Himalaya. But the options, the choice, what direction you do, this actually day-to-day life. So if in this day-to-day life you choose like to go this direction with yoga and meditation, good, go. So the food is one of these choices, one of the direction that very influential in all your paths. Okay.
So what would you recommend to eat after yoga?
There is like post-yoga actions and post-yoga actions,
Okay.
right? In yoga actions, you do your best, you do like increasing your karma, increasing your energy. Of course, if your mind is calm and not producing too much noise and negativity, so within the yoga session, you're getting a little bit positive fuel, right? Fuel, we can say. But after yoga, you get charged with this fuel. But after yoga, post-yoga actions, if you do positive actions, you using your fuel to go to the right directions, to the good path to liberation, path to happiness. If after yoga you do bad actions, you go very quickly to other directions and achieve this state of nagis, state of devils, state of evils very easily. Then I know people like some people doing yoga and after yoga they go to drink a beer. Oh, they people stop doing yoga like in a few years and like they so damaged and so down, of course, because yoga helps them to go this way. So yoga is not a negative or positive. Yoga is just a vehicle. Meditation is just a vehicle. You drive. How you drive. So if you want to eat after yoga, eat like positive energy. You have like karma here now, right? So you can choose what you eat. Basically, the best way, of course, fruits, but you have to be aware that your body may be not ready to like pure 100% fruits right now. Try to eat at least plants like the greens that not killed. So try to plant in your garden. That's the best way you can. And if you still eating fish, meat, eggs, you can see cooking and dehydration, right? This is the fire. Karim also told about the fire. So the fire can work as your friend if you're still eating that negative things. The fire neutralizes them. That's why normal people don't eat raw meat, right? And don't drink blood. At least most of us. So the fire neutralizes everything like bad to the zero. But in the same way, if you cook apple, you have a chance. You had a chance before to get like a good vibration, good energy. But when you cook it, it's also neutralized to zero. So in this case, we say you can see the food that is lower than the zero. So try to apply fire to them. It's not necessarily the cooking fire, like higher than if you're not eating meat. If you're eating like nuts or if you're eating coconuts, for them dehydration is like a way to raise a little bit higher the karma. But eventually you have to give up on that heavy food and proceed with just leaves, greens, not killed greens, and mother breast milk. That's already we already did. Now in our world it's like to be on the mother milk for 3 years, for 3 first year in our life, it's like impossible. What happened? It's like 3 years. In the past 3 years with the mother breast milk. Now even 2 months, not possible. No milk or whatever reason they have. Because of wrong diet, wrong health, and all this formula, and it's easier, and mother went back to work, right? So how we can speak about good health after this? Good karma. If first 3 years we just live on the powders from the cows. You know the cow milk. What is supposed to do with us? What the information it brings to our body, to our DNA? What cow gives with her milk to the babies? What do you think? What information?
How to grow another cow.
How to grow the horn, the tail, the how's name?
Hoofs.
Yes. So when you drink the milk from the very, very young age, this all information going inside. It's wasteful information. It's like toxins, informational toxins. And this informational like toxin disaster lives with you all your life. So to get a detox, you need like a deep, deep cleansing, going through the different techniques of meditation to get rid of this information. You don't need the horn, you don't need the tail, I think. No. And even in India, they have like these holy cows. And they say, okay, the cow milk is more or less would be good, but the goat milk is the worst. It's heavy, yeah, because goat has like smell. You will be the same smell, the same behavior. They say about goats, but they don't say about cows. Cows is the same. So the effect. We need to know that every action has a reaction. So if we get this, we just get reaction after this. We get cause and effect. It's applicable to every our life situations.
Nuts and seeds or any do you consume in your diet?
So let's say fruitarians, they usually not eat nuts and seeds. They switch slowly from one type of nuts to another, like low fat. The lowest fat nut is pistachio. It's not even nut, it's seed, but yeah.
Right.
So, and slowly, sometimes after like long time in fruitarian, if you want to eat some nuts, but not mixed with fruits. Yeah. Because if you eat fat and sugar, what happened? So the fat, you can see like oil, it's clogging the pores of your cells. If you eat fat and you eat sugar rise in your blood because cannot be absorbed because all pores now like blocked with fat. Don't mix it, please.
Sorry, that's why there are so many fruitarians, even fruitarians, raw foodies, not the fruitarians, but raw foodies who have diabetes, because for that same reason.
Oh, yeah.
They
Too much
overdo
avocado.
the nuts, yeah.
So avocado better to eat with the greens, not with the sweet fruits, as well as nuts. If you eat nuts sometimes, try to avoid to mix. And yeah, so any other questions?
I think everybody's ready to eat, right?
I have talking about the onion. You feel it, but still, if you wait until it's running, you have seeds and you're putting something back, you still need some, or is that kind of, if you are rejoicing
about the onion.
The roots, yeah.
The roots.
You say roots here, right?
If you kill roots, how it can grow?
They're like the garlic, for example, when it grows and you have the seeds, you can put more.
Yes.
So if you take some, but you still replenish it.
You keep seeds, but you kill the root.
I know, but you plant more.
Yes, but you kill. It's like, okay, I am now take care of your children, but I kill you. It's not a good thing. Yeah. The generation of onion, you save the generation of onion, but not your karma.
All right, on this positive note, we have one more speaker after we grab some fruit and enjoy it. Let me introduce him very quickly. His name is G, right? He goes by just G simply. And he has a fascinating story to tell. He was a world-class parachutist, basically, and then he sustained a very serious trauma that left half of his body paralyzed. And he will be telling his story of survival, and now he has regained most of his bodily functions, and he'll tell you how he did it with food and fasting, all of those good things. All right? Okay, guys, dig in. There are some plates here.
I'm first. I'm going to work this side.
If you don't know something, please ask us.
Oh, I know. It's amazing. My nose would check back in and be like, oh, it's like I never smelled anything. And eventually I got used to it.
I'm going to carry these back. Then I'll bring them back.
The colors are on this side.
No.
Oh man, I told you. Yeah, I can expect that. Yeah. This Oh yeah. Which Caroline came up with a very interesting term for it. I have no spider balls. Spider. Yeah. It's so eloquent.
Vedislav, Alex, can I have you here for a second? Passion fruit. That's dragon fruit.
Wow. It's a small seed inside, but it's still the sweet.
That's passion fruit.
This is passion fruit. There is a star fruit in cactus there. This is mamey. Mamey sapote.
But that should not be mixed because it's high in fat.
Yeah, this is a little bit higher in fat, so better to not mix.
Okay.
So what can you mix and don't mix? I'm kind of confused with the tropicals. Is it okay to eat them all?
They're not scattered around.
We were here eating. Do you speak Russian?
We have here.
What are the fruits? This one? Pink one? You can use only like soft one. The hard one is not ready. It's a day. Yeah, it's fresh day.
Okay. I'll take the other home.
And wait for 1 week so they become.
Those are very good.
This is mamey. Mamey. What do I do? Is that hard?
Sorry?
Oh, sorry, you cannot find it at the store here. You can find in fresh farms sometimes on the bottom. Not the body. This is dragon fruit, but red inside. In fresh farm you can find banana.
Regular banana?
It's not regular banana,
But
it's banana.
frozen.
Yeah, it's the same type.
Passion
No label.
The red one is the most sweetest flavor.
So, back in South Africa, and on a high speed, like hundreds, no, by miles, I'm gonna go by miles, like 90 miles per hour. I hit the water trying to enter the kind of racing gates where we race for the canopies, and of course that happens on the ground. And so it was a little pond before that entrance to the competition course. And so I hit the water, like I said, and after that I did not remember a thing. So I was in the hospital. I mean, I woke up in the hospital after 10 days of being in a coma with all these pipes and all that stuff, and I didn't remember what happened because the body, physical body, has this function. I mean, it shuts down all the systems. I mean, just to survive, to stay in this place, the earth. So, like a year after an accident, I was still on the same diet as many of you know, the normal diet, meat and all the goodies. So every time I would eat the meal, especially the lunch, and I wouldn't start a day without meat. That was sandwich, of course, with the meat, and tea or coffee, whatever. But within that year, like I said, I was basically, after a meal, I would be laying in the bed just because all the right-hand side of my body was paralyzed or partially paralyzed. And my body was so sensitive, I mean, so motionless, I mean, especially the right-hand side. So after the meal, all my energy would go into the stomach, and so I would not have any energy left for the daily things. And so after a year, I met this yogi from India. He was here actually in Arlington Heights. And one day, like on the second session, he told me, if you would become vegetarian, and he didn't finish the sentence yet, I knew that I'm vegetarian already. So I became vegetarian in one day, one night, whatever. And of course the healing went up. But after 2 years or so, everything slowed down. And so I was just looking for the ways out of this condition, because the first day after coma, after being in a coma for 10 days, I remember the first thought that came to my mind was, I'm going to be doing whatever it takes to get back to the healthy state. And like I said, after 2 years of those 2 years, I felt this like plateau being vegetarian, because most of you know, even the vegetarians are pretty, I mean, they're dealing with health issues. And after those 2 years, I was talking one day with my friend in Italy, and she told me about her friend who was here in Florida. And she was on a bed for a year or so after some neurological event. And so she met this doctor from Florida, naturopath, Dr. Morse, and she told me that after a year being with him on this fruit diet and herbs, the tinctures of herbs, she now is walking. And I think that she was in a bed even for 3 years, more than a year. So I was like, wow, that sounds interesting. And so I dove like all the way. I was listening every video on a YouTube coming from Dr. Morris. And so it made a lot of sense to me, I mean, about all this fruit stuff. And that was the year that I went to Brazil, actually, and was my introduction to FrutArianism. And I was on a fruit only, nothing else, for 3 weeks. But not the fruit like here in the States, which is half, half green, not ripened yet. But over there, the fruit was totally ripened on the trees, and that was awesomeness. Those 3 weeks, they made a big, big change in my mindset, because for the first time I felt something in the right-hand side. I mean, some feelings were, or started coming back to the body. And so right now I'm 7 years on this path. I'm raw foodist per se, and the fruit is the biggest part of my diet. I would say like 80%, and especially in the summertime, it's all I eat. I mean, fruit, but very little these days. Not so much. I mean, don't want to even stuff my body anymore with the old excessive, whatever the amount of the fruit. Because all the food, even fruit, does not give you energy. It takes the energy away. Because energy is a totally different thing. But we're not going to talk about this subject, because most of you are still on a kind of different, level. So every single one of us, I mean, on our own journeys, and so it takes time to get there. But that's what fruit does. I mean, it's just unbelievable, unbelievable power. Because I had these genetic illnesses. I mean, that I got from, of course, my parents, my father and my mom. And so all those genetic weaknesses are gone. I had psoriasis since 9 years of age, and so the main goal starting this fruit was to heal the body. And I didn't even think about psoriasis, because main goal was to fix this neurological damage to the body. Because nerves, as we know, they control everything. The sensations in our body, the motion, I mean, that controls everything. The communication between organs, the glands, and the body, that's how we walk, that's how we just run our lives. And so, I forgot what I was doing. So basically the fruit makes a lot of good stuff. So it just starts slowly, as Karim said, and just talk to him about this path, and he's going to give you directions, good directions. And enjoy your evening. Enjoy the fruit.
Are you local? Are you local now, or are you? Where's your residence full time?
I live here in Berlin.
So you
originally
struggle with the rest of us to try to get good fruit.
Yeah, good fruit is
throughout the year.
Hard to get, but it's possible. Everything is possible. Yeah.
You were talking about psoriasis and your family. I think that's when you lost track. We were
I mean, all these illnesses, the cancers, and all that stuff. I mean, it doesn't matter what, but it's all the same damage to the body. And so by doing this, slowly, the body gets cleaner, and that's how your body gets rid of all those symptoms. But, yeah. Oh well, so thank you, and enjoy the evening dinner, late dinner. Great hot.
Yeah, that's one point. Oh, you don't do it anymore?
I fly much higher these days. Let's put that way.
Was that parasailing?
Real small ones. Canada.
Right, but it was one of the
small ones. 90-something square feet.
You just do your steering.
High performance. I was actually in the world championship when this happened.
Was there like a pressure?
It was a turbulent day.
Okay.
Very turbulent day.
Yeah.
So you hear the airplanes dropping on the landings and stuff. And they have engines. The canopy does not have any.
No.
When I saw this.
When you hit a low pressure.
Yep, and it just, your canopy keeps flying forward, but it sinks at the same time, and you can't stop.
Well, it's good you hit water.
Oh yeah. I mean, at that speed,
Not really.
I've
I've skipped rocks, so I know with that surface concrete. I've done the belly flop, but it's still better than terra firma.
Still, maybe by 1%. But that's what saved me. It wasn't my time, that's for sure.
There you go. It wasn't your
All
time.
right, wonderful. Thank you
Yeah,
so much.
thank you.
Okay, Alex, can you please do a demo of opening coconut?
Yep. I saw that machete come out. I was going to move back.
Oh.
So this is coconut, and we open this. Not the best karma, right? You can see it. It's just you remember that even coconut, it's already like that. This is the best. Have you tried? Everyone tried coconuts and coconut water?
Yeah.
Yeah, good. So this is how coconut looks like. Yeah, you know. Not like they stream it in Whole Foods, white ones. This is real coconut, then they trim it and it become like this package. And
Still better than what's in the carton.
oh yeah. Because some people think that the coconut's already grown, like they slice it and dry it somewhere in a jungle,
right.
in secret place. Yeah. I just wanted to show the way how Indian people or Hawaiian people open the coconut.
Let her move.
They actually open. This is young coconut.
Right.
So if it's more brownish outside, is more mature coconut. And in Hawaii, they make it milk from the coconut, right? Coconut milk. Coconut milk is not a coconut water. It's different. Coconut water is a white liquid inside originally, and coconut milk is from coconut flesh. So how we make it, we just open or buy any coconut flesh and then put it in the blender and make it and blend with the water and squeeze through cheesecloth and all this process, right?
Yep.
So in Hawaii they do like very quickly and no any like electrical or other things. They just open the coconut and with the stick they scrub inside and squeeze inside the white flesh, and this white flesh leaking the juice, and they just, it's amazing. It's a lot of strength needed to do this with just a stick and like, wow. But they much more faster than we do with the blender, if you start with that.
Wow.
Yeah, the outcome it's become more faster because we need to open, we need to scrub the fiber and then put in the blender, and it's like whole process. So just wanted to open to not. Opening coconut should be from this side, where it's growing, not from this. This is hard side, this is very soft side.
That's where it was attached to the tree.
Yeah, it's attached to the tree. And I met one guy in Hawaii also. His name is Coconut Joe. So he can open coconuts with the machete, but he can open coconuts on the tree. It's like holding on the branch and then open coconut and then drink coconut water and just okay. And in India, because the maturity of coconut, it can be different even if it's outside it's like looking like a green, a little bit brownish. Inside could be like hard flesh, or it could be soft fiber, very like a gelée fiber. So personally, me, I don't like the hardest one because it's a lot of fat. So I ask fat.
Oh, yeah.
So I using this like gelée like coconuts if I eat them. So I asking them just open for me coconut that gelée inside. And surprisingly, they already know how to distinguish between them. So I don't know the technique. I just know outside what they do. They just do like this, then do like this, and they open, and it's like gelée always. But the same view coconut can be like very hard fiber here. They very like get used to this.
Like watching an episode of Survivor.
Yeah. I don't know, Survivor Man has machete?
Yeah, and somehow they opened it up with one whack. So, no, I think that's editing.
So this is a coconut, what do you say?
Husk?
Husk, yes. And if you know like this coconut charcoal, so the charcoal is from the husk and from the shell. So you can brush the teeth, you can wash the thing, everything. This what they do, they dry the husk and they burn it, and then this is like coconut charcoal, which is now very expensive in US. In India it's a lot of it. Nobody use because they fire all these leftovers and naturally to get less of waste. So but here is like coconut charcoal now very popular. So no matter coconut dried, brown or coconut is green, we need to husk it. So these dry brown coconuts have the same shell outside originally. So first of all, they clean the shell outside, and then inside is a brown thing that we can see in the store, right? With the ice, 3 ice. Okay. Yeah, it's all coming from the same thing.
Basically a big walnut.
Huh?
It's just like a big walnut.
Yeah, you know, it's real coconut. The walnut is thick.
But is that not a seed? That the brown part, is that not the seed of the coconut?
The coconut is not coconut.
Okay.
This is only the coconut. The nut, not only the nut, but coconut and almonds.
Right.
I think this is a nut. All other is seeds. I don't remember the gradation, but it's something like that.
Okay.
And actually, what fruit you know besides the tropical? What are the fruits? Not sweet fruits. What you know? How fruits are not sweet? The name. You know some fruits that not sweet? Watery. Okay, cucumber is a fruit. Biologically, cucumber is a fruit. Cucumber.
Cucumber.
Yeah, cucumber. So, zucchini is a fruit.
Pepper?
Pepper, yes, is a fruit. This is berry, right? It's not a fruit. Biologically, it's berry.
Big berry.
Big berry, yeah, big berry. So basically, fruits is all vegetables that growing over the soil, over the ground, and have seeds inside. This is biologically named fruits. So if you're FrutArian, you not stick to only that thing. You can eat cucumber and it's still FrutArian. So now you have like this coconut, that coconut shell, which is that hard shell with 3 eyes, right? Which you have in the store, husk it fully. So and then you just cut the coconut. Now you have this coconut fiber, very tender coconut because it's young coconut. And after coconut fiber you pull with coconut water. That's about it. And then you have straw and drink. That's about it. Very good.
You just need your straw.
Huh?
You just need your straw.
Yeah, his plastic container there, maybe it'll fit in.
Yeah, like,
Yeah. What is the reasoning for separating the berries from the sweet fruit?
the berries. This is like special berries. That one berry, actually berries, they have the time to digest very low, around 20 minutes, maybe half hour. This one around 15-20 minutes, so very quickly digestible. So if you eat them and eat this, the body wait until this digests. You cannot go inside the colon.
Right. That is going to block your glucose from those.
Even not in the fat will block glucose on the cell level,
right.
But even on the stomach level, the stomach cannot go the food inside the intestines before it's digest the fat. So it should inject some acid to digest this one. But because this one also inside the stomach, this one start to ferment. Ferment, yes. So when it comes together to the intestine, which would be like in 40 minutes or whatever, in 1 hour, it's already starting like fermenting because you know the stomach is temperature is high, right? So already, and you already get this low fermentation process inside. Still in the intestine, you still have like fermentation continuing, and until next day fermentation going, and boom, very nice picture in the toilet after this and smell. That's because of.
So what do you think about mono diet?
Mono diet.
Mono, like if you're dealing with digestive problems and all of that.
Mono diet is very perfect.
Fruitarian.
Fruitarian mono diet, yeah, it's very good.
Very good.
It's an ideal diet for fruitarians, yeah.
Because I try to do one fruit at a time.
One fruit at a time.
And then if I wait an hour and 30 minutes, is that good enough?
It depends. So for this you can wait half hour for the berries.
Couple hours.
Half. 30 minutes. Oh. 30 minutes. For this around like fatty fruits, so it's like 1.5 hour, 2 hours.
Where can I read up on that? Like how you telling us about the time, weight, certain amount of
Basically,
time?
if it's more fat, more time you need to wait.
More fat?
If more fats inside the fruit, right?
Oh, wait more. Okay.
You wait more. So avocado, it's like 3 hours. 2.5, 3 hours because it's a lot of fat. This around 2 hours because less fat.
Okay. So what do you think about
That's durian.
All right, I'm sorry, just for one minute. Here we have the king of the fruit. The fruit event would not be a fruit event if we did not have the king of the fruit. This is durian. I present you with the nature's bliss given to humans. This thing has everything the human ever needs. This is the best of fruit. This gives like everything to all. It fills up all the needs of the human for the nutrients and for the energies. It has like very balanced energies. it's like the milk of mother. Or like rose.
Very close.
Yeah. So please enjoy it. It's called durian. It looks like very like a hedgehog, you know, like very sharp. You know, because nature protects it from any animals, like humans, and humans have the ways of opening this. In fact, once it's ripened, it opens up on its own. All you have to do is split it. So please, we have it over there.
Can you show me how to split it?
Yeah, it's very easy. You just go in the split and you just open it. It's really easy. And this is what it looks like. See, the fruit itself inside looks like the embryo. It's like, you know, something that's really, you know, this is where nature talks to you, saying, look, this is, you know, really good. It gives you everything, like, you know, everything you need.
Where do you find it? Where do you find it?
We find it in Asia.
Thailand.
Thailand and Philippines. And
Thailand store.
Yeah.
What kind of store?
Thailand stores.
Thai
yes.
store.
Thai store.
Okay, that's Thai store.
Yeah.
Also, durians, they range in price anywhere from $50 to $300 each fruit. Yes, each of those, yes.
Thank you.
Well, some large ones.
This is monton. This is moton. This is can be transported here, so it's not too expensive.
Okay.
The expensive is very perishable and very hard to grow, so they only sell them on the farm directly, and it's coming. The price can be up to $300 there in Taiwan.
That marked up here.
If it's come here, it's around $600. Right? But this black durians, they already booked for whole up front here. So you cannot go and buy it now in the farm in Thailand. It's all booked.
Yeah.
How long do they stay fresh?
Okay, they ripen up.
How long it stay fresh?
Once it's open.
Once it's open, it's pretty perishable. It's quickly perishable.
Yeah.
Maybe a day or two in the refrigerator.
That's it.
Yeah. But if you keep it like 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours on the open air, it's already become.
Great.
Yeah. So,
I don't like that bad when I have the allergy.
Good.
Very good.
So we're saying if people ready to eat and if it's not disgusting for them, the smell and the taste, they're already ready to switch to FrutArian. This is the measurement. Meat eaters, they don't usually handle this smell and taste. You have a good connection.
You know me, like
There's an abundance of a fruit that is used in place of meat nowadays called jackfruit. What can you speak about jackfruit?
Jackfruit is the same family as durian, and also have like strong authentic smell, right? And it's quite fat also. Not so like durian, but also fatty.
Do you use jackfruit yourself?
You can eat, but the jackfruit that's selling here in US is not so good because it's not soft.
Right.
When you open jackfruit, it should be like a jelly or like close to that consistency.
They let it.
Yeah, and very bright yellow, not like pale yellow, but bright like orange yellow. That's how.
I asked that last question, didn't you? I was going with Joey. It was good, but not here.
No, right. Well, again, they grow it.
Jackfruit, durian, and breadfruit is also the same. The breadfruit is very nice thing. They name it bread because if you put in the stove and cook like for 1.5 hours, like bake, it becomes similar to bread. So the cold fruit you put on the stove in oven, and then become like tasty. If you make spices like with garlic and all this stuff, it's very similar to
Try that too.
Excuse me, so as a fruitarian, do you have to do nuts or seeds or, can you just eat fruit? Or do you got to later on at least balance it out?
No, the fruitarians, they're not eating seeds and nuts.
No seeds?
No, yeah.
Oh, so you don't have to have you can just get it out from the fruit. I know you were saying that.
We
but
have like this book, right, 8 and 10.
Yeah.
Yeah, so in this book it's very, very nice explaining why. So the 10 and 10, this is fat, this is protein, and this is
carbohydrate,
sugar.
Yeah, same thing.
And all of that proportion you can find in fruit.
Yeah.
Like if you want fat, you go with avocado, durian, specific from
I can get my fats and protein from there.
Breadfruit, mame sapote.
This is the ideal.
Yeah.
This is the ideal. So if you eat banana, you already have 8 and 10.
The banana will...
Yeah, because this is a little bit more fat. This is a little bit less fat, right? This is ideally like formula.
The banana...
10 protein, 10 fat, and 80 sugar, yeah.
So eat at least one a day.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you can basically find it.
If you're on mono diet, eat them like once in a day.
Huh?
If you're on mono diet, you say, yeah, eat once in a day, eat banana.
Eat at least one banana.
At least one banana.
I think I was doing I think my body was doing we wanted 7 of them.
7 banana, yeah, eat 7 banana.
In one meal.
Yeah,
Okay.
in one meal.
Okay.
No mix with others and eat like
Not
that.
just one banana.
And it's ideal diet.
Okay, gotcha.
You don't need to even think about this book if you eat like this.
Yeah, because in some of his recipes, I guess that's when you're transitioning. He was saying how you can have some tahini and nuts, a little nut sprinkle. I guess about 3 or 4 nuts or something. But I don't have to have the nuts.
You don't have to have
because I
nuts.
was getting sick from the nuts.
Or you can this is the step towards fruitarian is when you have some nuts and then you go off nuts a little as you go, and then you just keeping some greens, some vegetables, some greens, and then off greens you go to later. But in order to do that and be able to sustain that, your body need to be really well cleansed. To be able to nourish the deep tissues, because the deep tissues, they are not, if they're not cleansed, you cannot process the glucose and all the good stuff from the fruit. It will not reach that level. It will not reach that level. So once you cleanse it to the highest level, then it will be nourishing the higher tissue, and you can sustain fruitarianism.
Okay, some nuts is so addictive. I mean, when you start eating that fats, it's just you want more and more of it.
What happens is that if the glucose is not utilized, because while being fruitarian, it actually is such a great source of energy. If you're not using the energy that the fruit provides, but eating it and keeping the glucose circulating, your body will start turning that into fat tissue. It will start turning that into fats, storing it in the fat tissue. And fruitarians can actually, become basically carrying a lot of fats, carrying a lot of fats. And that actually can happen even on fruit. That can happen on fruit. But then to release that energy from fats, you will have to cleanse anyway. You will have to go through metabolizing all the glucose and glycogen, and as I said, breaking down the fat tissue, going into ketosis, and starting releasing the energy out of the fat tissue. So that's the cleanse, basically.
So you can help by helping with the cleanse, supporting a person with the cleanse, and getting them to a fruitarian diet. Can you do that?
Yeah. Well, depending on where the person is, because if the person is, eating conventionally, eating standard diet, being fruitarian is out of the question initially. You know, so we will need to, being fruitarian, you have to be raw foodist for a while. You know, being the raw foodist before you go and being fruitarian. This is like a stepping stone, you know, but if the person is on the cooked food, then, you know, going off the standard nutrition, like, you know, getting the animal proteins out, and then, you know, cleansing from them and from their toxins, and then going into the plant-based, cooked plant-based, you know, like if it is the like standard veganism where there's a lot of processed foods, then getting the toxins of that type of nutrition out of the system, and then going on to like healthy plant-based, balanced plant-based, and cleansing from toxins, you know, from the cooked foods, and then you know, making a major cleanse before going on raw, and then being raw and cooked, you know, for certain fractions of time, you know, like being cooked during winter, being raw during summer, and so on and so forth. So that whole process can take years. It takes years, you know, and along with that, the cleansing happens, you know, cleansing of the body, cleansing of the mind, purification. The purification process is a long process, you know, and it's a hard way because here you need to actually work on yourself.
Yes.
Not wait somebody can help you giving you a pill, you know, and condition. So, you know, this is where you're really working on yourself. This is where you're becoming your own doctor, you know. This is where you're disciplining yourself, organizing yourself, you know, like really like transforming your mind on yourself, you know, like accepting, opening up and accepting, like, you know, the truth, the real things and the reality, not just living in a shell and, you know, denying everything else, thinking that what you're doing is the right thing, and yet, you know, accumulating the ailments.
I'm sorry, I have these guys here who are getting kind of antsy, but I wanted to introduce to you these two largely fruitarian little people.
Yeah, all right.
Yes. Very like full of energy, able to keep focus very well, very strong. Show your muscles.
Come on.
See? Fruitarian muscles. Yeah, and here's another aspiring fruitarian. Thank you, guys. You want to say how you like being like almost fruitarian? Is it good? Is it not good? Kind of.
Yes, it is good.
Okay, all right, thank you.
So how do we go about trying to get a consultation with you, you know?
Yeah, well, you know, in order to actually get children going this way, you need to show the way to some. Well, yeah, I mean, I was talking about kids, but yeah, I mean, we need to change ourselves in order to change the kids because kids follow, you know. This is, but they were actually the triggering point for us to.
Would you like a box?
Why is it start very fast? They have like fermentation, so that the fruit is not digested well and they start like fermenting. Yeah.
That was
Are
all
you
of
taking
it.
the seed or can I get rid of it? Okay, can I take this?
Even Himalaya salt doesn't use the regular one because all the color use the minerals that not absorbing that they like sour in the body, like thin something.
Because I see
all like meat, all like bacon, salt,
they hold
all vegetables, no. And when you do like almost all diet.
Tastes so much better, right?
Oh my
Start
gosh.
to pick up the cells, the branch up
In
and cover,
India,
and
there are
become
like,
more
I don't
solid.
know, probably dozens of different varieties of bananas.
And the memory
Yeah, what we get here is just, you know,
Monoculture,
so many companies
now they have a problem.
very, very young.
Anytime you do a monoculture, the problem is the pest. And the fungus right now.
I'd rather have a lot of memories in my life.
By having a monoculture.
then they have to use.
Yeah, you need somebody to carry your bags and you
FrutArian.
don't have to hire somebody there.
You are the only one.
But everyone,
I
you go
may be
with
old, but I'm still
diet,
strong.
my mother now also recovering from the
It's only 3 months.
and now like
Yeah, so December, January, February.
Appreciate you.
Give me some good energy because we have big plans for kids.
Where is Where?
It's called Orville. Yes.
It's such a British name. That's gotta be still
Well, yeah. So it's Aura. Yeah. So it's like a European village basically. In the heart of India. Not in the heart, but in the.
okay.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
I mean, it's going to be about daytime, maybe 75, 80, something like that.
Beautiful, yes. I hear it's the best time to be there. Yes.
No, I'm jealous.
And you figure
You can come too.
down, you mentioned something about,
Are
you across the
We rented a condo there.
I mean, you don't really talk about your
$300
life,
for
do you?
3 months.
It's a matter of getting there.
I have a key building so I have a figured out. All right, Dave.
I retired a lot earlier.
Yeah.
He needs me to get it now. Covers my house.
Yeah.
So
maybe
these are
maybe you can represent us, different presentations at stores and whatnot.
So I could use a clamshell and that one thing. Oh, there we go. Yeah. Everybody. Oh my goodness.
I didn't know. But this is what this is.
Yeah. I think they ordered these for. She had a total
And this is wow. Also this. Yeah, but
Oh, that's so cool. This is how it looks. You like them?
You also on the clock.
Oh my gosh. I hadn't tried it before. I can't remember what it's called.
No, he doesn't know.
What happened?
So, Mama, these are your friends?
Oh, I knew that he but I didn't know about what you guys were talking about.
Yeah, so I mean,
I've been hearing, you know, everywhere, lunch and every